Okay, my name's H. Welcome to another one of my videos. I want to talk to you about green woodwork. These are some things I've made. I'm going to go into the workshop with you in a minute now and just talk about the basic tools that you're going to require, and then perhaps we'll come outside and see how they're used. I want to talk to you today about green woodworking. Now, when I first took an interest in green woodworking, it was very difficult to find things on YouTube or on the net that point me in the right direction for really some of the rudimentary tools that I was going to need, and also the skills. A few books around, you know, showing you what the old bodgers used to do, but it's been a hard slog learning, so I'm going to pass on what I have learnt to you. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do is get a range of fairly basic tools together. Most people's idea of an axe is just something that they cut kindling with, and they're usually as blunt as anything, and they've never thought of using it for anything else. It's a wonderful tool. It's a tool that people are far too quick to put down and pick up the next tool. It can be used for obviously basic splitting, but cutting down a piece of wood fairly accurately, and it can also be used like a plane, almost like a general purpose tool, which I'll show you as time goes on in other videos perhaps. But the main thing about this one, this is just the kind of axe that you could pick up at a boot sale somewhere. Nice old British one, good steel, and it's got a good edge on it. Learn to sharpen. If you can't sharpen yourself, find somebody who can. Get a good edge on it and make sure it's one that'll hold that edge, and that's going to see you in to some of the basic jobs. This is another one. You'll hear this one talked about a lot. The people who had to work in the woods converting a log into something useful, one of the first things that they needed once they cut that log to length was this, a froe. It's an inverted sort of an axe type thing. It's got an edge on here, doesn't need to be very sharp, but it needs to be so that you can bang it into the wood. So it needs to lead its way in, and it needs to be fairly tough, because you're going to put a lot of pressure on it sideways to split the logs. I'll show you how it's used, but it is one of the things that you're going to need. They are there on eBay. They're probably there at tool shops either and thither. Ransford's Brooks do them. You can get them for between 30 quid and 75 quid for up the top end, but it's a tool that you're going to need anyway. Okay, this is a really good one. This is one I picked up at a boot sale. This is a Gilpin 2-pound axe. Kent pattern. Very, very nice tool. It's got a bit of weight to it. It's got a broader blade, and you can use this in so many ways. It really is a fantastic tool. Most of these are just chucked in somebody's coal place in the corner with the shaft broken and a load of hammer marks on the back. Tragic really when you see what this thing's capable of. We'll see later. This, I call it Bam Bam, because it reminds me of the thing that kid had in Flintstones. All that is a log that I've just hacked up with an axe and given it something I can hold on to it with, and I use this for hitting the back of these, all of these tools. What I never use is a hammer. You know, it does my head in when I go to boot sales and pick up tools that idiots have just thumped the back of them, and they just, oh dear, it just doesn't bear thinking about. This won't do it any harm. I would say a golden rule is never hit anything, never hit a tool with something that's harder than itself, otherwise you're just going to ruin it. So a good place to start, learn the basics, get a Bam Bam made. It'll teach you some skills with your axe anyway, and watch your fingers. I'll show you how to make one of these today, but we'll see what kind of video length we've got, because I don't want you to have to sit through a long boring one. I'll bust them up into bits for you. But there we go, nice cleft gate made of ash. This is mostly ash as well, straight out of the wood. I mean, what we're talking about here is just converting a log into something like that with nothing but a few hand tools, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, The shave horse is the most basic of the tools that you're going to need for green woodworking. What it effectively is a bench come vise that'll just grip a piece of wood for you that you've split and possibly done a little bit more work on it with an axe, and this will help you to put it into the round or shape it up how you want to do. And you press on here with your feet and then just pull your draw knife across it and start to shape it up. You can quickly change the position of it. So there's no messing about like you would have with a vise on a bench, where you've got to unwind the handle. You just release your grip with your foot, move the piece and just drag at it with your draw knife, which once again has got to be sharp. It's the one thing that gets me most of all. I watch people trying to do jobs with a dull tool. They're just wasting the time really. If you can't get it right with your sharpening, you are totally wasting your time. Okay, I'm quickly going to show you now how to convert this log into the round. Say if you're going to make legs or something like that. This is an ash log and this is the froe. I'm going to put that in there. It sometimes works with the froe, sometimes I might need a wedge to start it off, or just a broad axe or something like that, but here goes. We'll try and split this one. Right, this is the kind of thing that can happen to you anyway. There was a side shoot there that didn't show up. It made that log a little bit resistant. What can you do? It happened. I'm still going to carry on and split this one because we're going to get this piece out of it at least, or perhaps off the other half. Alright, so there you go. We got a piece there. One thing I want to tell you about splitting is, with the froe, what you've got to do is you've got to always go across the growth rings. If you try to split a piece down even further and follow the growth rings, what happens is it runs out, simply because the wood's softer as it gets towards the outside, so it just takes its least route of resistance and you end up with an horrible shaped piece of wood. So but if you go across the growth rings, it'll just split. When it's a little bit drier, it actually makes a lovely noise when it splits. It just sounds fantastic. But there we go, that's the first part of it. What you've got now is a nice three-cornered piece of wood. What you want to make that is as close to round as you possibly can. And like I said to you before, people are too quick to put this tool down. Start like this. Wood just flies off for you. Now if you look at a cross section of that, you're virtually round anyway. Now that's got it pretty close. This is a bit of a wobbly one, you're looking for straight really. I'm just doing this one to demonstrate. I can keep this one straight to about there, so I would cut that one off and use that for a stool leg probably. Okay, let's move on to the shave horse for the next part. you want to try to be economical about how many times you have to turn the piece of wood round. So just do it an end at a time. Try and get this nearer to round, so that if you're going to put it on the lathe, it swings it fairly true. But this removes material so quickly in comparison to your lathe that apart from the axe, this is the other tool that you want to consider using to bring the piece of wood as close to round as you can, rather than moving onto the lathe too soon. The legs on this shave horse, I actually didn't use a lathe at all on these. I just did them with the shave horse and finished them that way, because I didn't need to. And at the time I was thinking, noisy cockerel there. At the time I was thinking, well, these guys had got to move from wood to wood, and they probably didn't want to cart all their equipment, and my guess is they would make some of it when they got to a wood, starting with the shave horse. So that's what I did. Okay, there we are, that's reasonably round now. That'll be ready to go onto the lathe. So that's basics of the shave horse for you.